Well, hello there, my fellow rushers. How are you doing today? King Rexy here. And today, we're gonna be starting off a new series. Yep, new series indeed. If you didn't know, the Duke told me that he wasn't going to be continuing to review fan-made heroes from Kingdom Rush. So he asked me if I would take this responsibility to continue it. And I gladly accepted because let me tell you, I like making heroes, and this has been my new hobby in the recent couple of months, and that's awesome. And because of that, I was like, you know what, maybe I should do something special for the first video. So I hit up with LightningRuiEn, and I told him, hey man, you want to review one of my heroes, and if you have a hero design, I can read it. And he sent me a hero design of War Champion from anybody, and that's quite interesting. I always wondered how War Champion is gonna look in a Kingdom Rush game, because he's the ultimate Chad of the community because he is the best. And yeah, I've sent him a hero rework, which I'm not gonna specify which hero it is because it's a little bit of a secret. So go ahead and check out his video right after mine, which I'll leave a link to into the description. So go ahead, check him out, watch the video in full, press the like button, subscribe to him, and donate your life savings to him. Alright, maybe not the last part, but you get the idea. Now here's a reference image for War Champion, how he's gonna look like. As you can see, he looks pretty beautiful. By the way, this image as well as the following ones are all hand-drawn by LightningRuiEn himself, so that's quite impressive, I'm not gonna lie. And yeah, without any further ado, let's jump into the lore and the description of Rexy the War Champion. Close the exit, it's gonna be messy. Sorry, I don't have a good War Champion impersonation, so we're gonna roll with it. Let's begin. Description. Rexy was a legendary warrior who has freed many kingdoms of evil, including Leneria. He came from faraway lands with his loyal phoenix. He has seen the news of Vesnans taking over Leneria and has decided to help free the land from him. He is now a trusted commander and legendary hero of the kingdom. Well, that's an interesting description. Pretty cool. I would assume that that's his resume in-game, but now let's get to the interesting part. Okay, so it's about time to get to the lore. Rexy is a knight that has left Leneria exploring the world. He has insanely more durability than the average knight. He has trained for years and years, and he met new friends from his journey. He heard that something had happened to his hometown, so he decided to come back. The king, at the time, made him one of his lead commanders because of Rexy's knowledge of strategy. He used the kingdom's forces to fight militia, who has caused chaos in Leneria. This took him several weeks and lots of loss of life to get the creatures out of the building. After that, he once again left his hometown for training. During his journey, he fought a legendary beast. He was struggling with the fight. Fortunately, he was saved by a phoenix passing by. It was the legendary phoenix. He was relieved at that he was saved. Phoenix landed on a mountain with healing herbs, which had helped in healing Rexy. Rexy told Phoenix that he has been training for years, exploring the world and ridding the world from evil. After that, they went to a place called Elaria, a place surrounded and blocked by a wall that is so high it extends the heights of clouds. They flew in and saw a fantastic sight. It was so beautiful that Rexy gasped in awe. They landed on top of an empty turret and rested for a while until they were noticed by the guards. The guards shot, and they quickly escaped. When they passed the other side of the wall, they witnessed a giant island guarded behind the walls of Elaria. They landed in a glade of the forest and rested again. They were spotted by a group of blacksmiths. When they were about to exit the area, the blacksmiths asked Rexy if he was a knight. Rexy stopped and answered proudly that he was. The blacksmiths were happy that Rexy was a knight. They told him that they needed knights in their village. Rexy gladly accepted their offer, but Phoenix didn't want to. They said their goodbyes and parted ways. A decade has passed since they parted ways. Rexy is now a very strong warrior, protecting and slaying hordes of enemies that raid the village. One day, a bright red bird landed in the city. Ricky quickly ran to protect the city, and he saw that the bird was a bruised phoenix, his friend Phoenix. He immediately summoned the village shaman. Ricky was sad and worried about his friend. Suddenly, he heard a thunderous roar. Ricky feared that there was a battle coming, and unfortunately, he was right. The villagers evacuated while Ricky stood in front of the village performing a warrior stance. Soon after, a dragon arrived at the village. The dragon looked fierce, powerful, and hungry. He thundered, "I will eat the precious friend bird of yours and this village's inhabitants, starting from you, night." The village was in terror, watching from the outskirts of the forest while Ricky looked pretty calm, but was terrified inside. He rushed at the dragon, but the dragon effortlessly smacked him away with its tail. Ricky lay down on a broken hut after being defeated by the dragon. The dragon broke the shaman's hut and found the defeated phoenix lying down, my bad. The dragon was about to eat her until she let out a stream of flames, slowly flying to where Ricky lied. She woke Ricky up, and he was furious that the dragon was gonna go eat the villagers. Phoenix picked Ricky and flew to where the dragon was and dropped him. Ricky let out a thunderous cry and smashed the dragon with all of his might. This attack smashed the dragon right in the face, while Ricky was yelling, "Storm Strike!" After hitting the dragon, a bolt of lightning struck the dragon, making it paralyzed. Ricky and Phoenix went to attack it when it was paralyzed. They got some hits off, until the dragon moved and struck Ricky away, and Ricky flew back to the village. Intense. The villagers were terrified of its power. Phoenix held off the dragon as long as she could until the dragon struck her, causing significant damage to her. The dragon stepped on her weakened body and thundered, "Weak, weak, weak! These creatures you call heroes are defeated in an instant. Do you think that they can save you? I pity you for how weak they are." At that exact moment, Phoenix used her last energy and let out a firestorm that signed and scorched the dragon, giving time for the villagers to escape. This injured the dragon seriously. The dragon was furious. He stomped the extremely weakened Phoenix, killing her in the process. Ricky witnessed the event helplessly. He was booming from anger, rushed to the dragon at lightning speed, blinding the dragon, and performed the technique known as Lightning Speed Thunder Slash Strike. A long name, I know. This was a technique that he has read in a book. This technique will cut the enemy to millions of pieces, creating a storm after. He performed the technique out of rage, immediately killing the dragon with no mercy. Only after that, he was devastated by Phoenix's death and mourned her death. Well, that was pretty intense. Let's keep going. Alright, let me just... Yep, there you go. The villagers made a statue of Phoenix's valiant sacrifice, and now the village has knights and archers to protect itself now. Ricky decided that he was going home. The blacksmiths used the dragon skin to craft a magical blade out of dragonic skin, giving it to Ricky before leaving. The village bid farewell to him, and Ricky went back to Lineria. It took him 10 years to go back. He met some more people, and he has slain the legendary beasts which had attacked him years ago, remembering Phoenix in the past saving him. The thought of sadness hit. Sorry, I'm messing up. Let me just redo it again. Remembering Phoenix in the past saving him, the thought saddened him until he saw a bright, burning light inside a mountain cave. He went to check out and found a phoenix egg. This shocked him. There was a huge chance this was the reincarnation of his friend, Phoenix. He picked the egg up, and on his way, he encountered a lot of dangerous foes, but defeated them. 3 months later, the egg hatched into a cute little phoenix. Aww. 9 years later, the phoenix became an adult, and Ricky, with Phoenix, returned to Lineria that was under Vesna's rule. Ricky immediately went to the castle. He saw the new King Dinas was there, strategizing, and he told the king that he looked more, let me say, bigger than before. This insulted the king, but Dinas remembered that they were friends before, and he put Ricky back onto his past job because he was the best commander in the past, which led them beating Vesnans again. Some years go by, with Ricky defeating the kingdom, and now King Dinas dubbed him the War Champion. After that, Ricky left to find armor for himself to match his sword. In the months of his absence, the kingdom went back to Vesna's ruling again. He then decided with Phoenix to stop this, once and for all. Alright then, so that was a pretty interesting lore, I'm not gonna lie. I liked it, it was pretty good. Pretty decent one, I would say. Maybe 9 out of 10. It is a good one. Could have expanded a little bit more, but hey, we're not here to judge for professionalism here. We're here for the hero. And the backstory, it doesn't have to be like super crazy long like mine's usually are. So, let's take a look at the statistics. 710 HP, pretty decent. 76 to 92 damage, I would assume it is physical damage. 1.5 second attack speed, so that's good. 75% armor and also 30% magic resistance. Ooh. Adding up magic resistance up in here, now that's very unique. Okay, now before we get to the speed and all, let's just make some quick calculations real quick. So, first things first. The efficient HP is pretty high. 2840 efficient HP against enemies that deal physical damage is quite a bit. That's a lot. I mean, that's even more than Eridan, so that really goes to show you how much actual damage this guy can withstand, which is, you know, a lot. Now, for the magic resistance, it also gives him slightly higher efficient HP, you know, 1014, I think? Yeah, it's 1014.2, which, you know, it's not like super great, but at least he can resist some magic attacks. And that's very unique because none of the heroes have magic resistance of any sort, so that is quite impressive. I really like this new addition, definitely keen on that idea. Then let's move on. Speed slow, 2.2, same as Gerald. With Undying Friend, fast, 7.5, same as Durax. Respawn time is 22 seconds, and he regenerates 65 HP per second. Pretty interesting. So he gets an upgrade, which allows him to increase his movement speed. Interesting. Now, I'm not quite sure if it's gonna be only movement speed, but I guess once we read through, we'll find out. And 7.5 is actually pretty good. You know, that's basically Durax, which is, you know, good. Anyway, let's get into the passive ability first. Dragonian Sword's Magic. Every 4 to 6 attacks deals 115 magical damage to an enemy. Every time War Champion perishes, the Dragonian Sword will be more powerful, increasing 3 damage over time. Max attack is 3, having 85 to 101 damage. Interesting. So every 4 to 6 attacks you get a magical attack that deals a lot of damage. Nice. Like, it's kind of reminiscent of my last hero rework, so that's kind of interesting. I'm not quite sure if he got the idea from there, or if it was his completely original idea, I don't know. But I like that. I like that. It's a nice passive ability, just more damage. And speaking of damage, I like how when he dies, he gets some damage. But the thing is that the damage boost doesn't seem too significant. Like, if an enemy has to kill an enemy that a hero that has almost 2900 efficient HP, I'm pretty sure that damage boost is not worth it. So for the most part, you probably don't want your hero to die either. So that effect, for the most part, I don't see it being very useful. But in cases where you have to fight off enemies that deal true damage, I can see how he could die, even though his health is very high, higher than Faustus and Bruce. So I don't see him dying very easily. So yeah, I would say the damage boost is kind of unneeded, but the magical damage is definitely a welcomed one. Moving on to the actual skills. Shield Absorption is gonna cost 3, 2, and an additional 2 hero points. Uses his shield and absorbs the attack, healing 60, 70, and then 80 health back, and takes no damage from the attack no matter what. The cooldown of 10 seconds. Okay, that's a pretty good one. But it kind of is, you know, a little bit, how do I put it? counterproductive to his Dragonian sword magic for the damage boost, but alright, gives him more durability overall. I mean, depending on the type of enemy that you're fighting, it could be like meh, but still, healing 80 HP just like that every 10 seconds by blocking an attack, that's awesome. Now, I'm not quite sure what his aggro range is. Basically, how close enemies need to get before... Basically, aggro range is... How do I put it? It's basically like when it gives you a certain distance. If an enemy is a certain distance away from the unit, he's gonna start attacking. And that's the aggro range, basically. I'm not quite sure if it's large or small, but it doesn't matter. Still, regenerating 80 HP just like that is pretty dope. And depending on the type of enemy that you're fighting, it could be very handy. Like, imagine like Twilight Golems or Heretics, that would be pretty dope. Now, let's see the other one, Undying Friend. That's the skill that was mentioned in the stats, so let's see what it does. It costs 2, 2, and an additional 3 hero points. This upgrade allows War Champion to obtain a Phoenix. Makes sense from the story point. When the hero perishes, the Phoenix stays and does constant damage. The Phoenix always does 15, 25, and then 30 true damage, attacking every 1 second. The name of the Undying Friend is Phoenix. A little bit of a burr moment there. Very original, calling a Phoenix Phoenix. XD. Anyway, so that's pretty cool. Now he gets very fast movement speed, as well as a Phoenix that deals 30 true damage. That's very interesting. So if he dies, I would assume I would assume his death animation is like falling off the Phoenix, and the Phoenix just stays there. I'm not quite sure if it's gonna be stationary, but if it is, then I don't know. I guess it's okay. At least if he's about to die, which chances are he's probably not going to die very often, but in the rare cases that he does, you may want to put him in a good choke point just so he can die, and the Phoenix can do some additional true damage. Now, 30 true damage per second is not terrible, it is a pretty decent amount. Now, the thing is that it doesn't specify if it's like single target damage or area damage. I would assume it is a single target damage, but still, that's a good number nonetheless. Pretty interesting. Now, I'm not sure if the Phoenix like always attacks even when he's dead, when he's alive or dead. I don't know, but whatever. That's pretty cool. I wonder if you can move her after he dies though, similar to Dante. You know how when Dante dies, you can still move him around. That would be pretty cool if Phoenix was able to do it. But I guess because she can attack, she'll probably be stationary, which it's understandable. Maybe I'm not getting it right, but if I am not, then yeah, let you already know what to do. Comment down below. Spectre's healing. 1 and an additional hero point. When the hero gets below 200 in health, the Spectres heal him by 5, 9, and then 14 health every half a second, healing him for 11, 13, and 16 seconds. Cooldown of 30 seconds. Well, damn, that's a very good ability, for sure. Now, chances are that he's probably rarely gonna get below 200 HP, but considering that he's meant to be quote-unquote in Origins, because as you can see here we have the ultimate thingy, so if he's supposed to be a hero of Lineria, so I would assume that it's in Origins, because that's the only other game besides Vengeance that has heroes, that allows heroes to have ultimate abilities. So in Origins, there's a lot of enemies that do true damage. There's a lot of them. So I can see this being useful, but I don't know. I guess it's nice if you're fighting like something ridiculous, like a boss or something. And the fact is that the health that he gains back is quite insane. Like, we're talking about a lot of HP. And if you're wondering, well, how much HP could it be, man? Like, this can't be that much, right? Well, believe me, it is. It's way over 400 HP. And that's a lot. He regenerates basically over half of his HP in a matter of 16 seconds. Now, is it worth it to like leave him there and let him perform his ability while he's not being attacked? No. This is meant to be something that's gonna help him out stand off against low to mid tier enemies. I mean, sure, if you're fighting like an Avenger, I'm pretty sure that the 28-second regeneration may not be enough, because on Impossible this guy deals between 100 to 125 damage. Even though it is physical damage, keep in mind that we also have 75% armor, which could, I guess, reduce the damage low enough, but still. Let's just say that it is a good ability. I like that it has 30 seconds cooldown because it kind of balances it out. I mean, I am not quite sure if the ability starts up recharging immediately after it's being used, which I would assume that's how it works. That in this case it will be pretty nice because basically you'll be getting the ability pretty much half the time, which is not terrible. Is it great? I don't know, but it's definitely a good one. But again, it has a negative synergy with the Dragonian Sword's magic, with the damage boost. But whatever. Ultra Smash, which is the last ability before the ultimate. Three, three, and then an additional 2 hero points. The hero jumps up high and performs a stunt with his sword and shield that shatter the ground, dealing 115, 185, and then 250 true area damage to the enemies down below. Cooldown of 40 seconds. 40 seconds, you say? Yeah, that's a little bit of a issue. That's a pretty big issue. See, the damage is not bad. 215 is a pretty spot on number. Sure, you're not gonna be able to kill something like a Twilight Harasser or anything, but it's still a good amount of area true damage. But the issue is the cooldown. Why 40 seconds? Just why? Like like if we're talking about like true damage per second out of this ability, you're getting only 5.3. That's very bad. That's very low. Like if the cooldown was like half of the current one, like if it was 20 seconds cooldown, then it will be acceptable. But 40 seconds, that just seems very unnecessary. That's one of the reasons why I really hate Prince Dinas in Origins, because of how long of a cooldown his abilities have, and they're not very effective. So yeah, the Ultra Smash, if you couldn't tell, that's his only way to deal area damage, because so far War Champion doesn't have any so far he doesn't have any area damage attacks, and the Ultra Smash is his only area damage. But because it has such a long cooldown, he's very unreliable against hordes of enemies. Even with that super strong attack that deals 150 magical damage every now and then, yeah, I don't think he'll be able to hold off against like 10 enemies without the Ultra Smash. So yeah, I don't know what to think about the cooldown. Maybe it was a mistake, maybe it was not, maybe that's how it's supposed to be, but whatever the case, kind of a iffy ability. I'm not gonna say it's bad, but it is questionable. Now let's move on to the last one, the ultimate ability. Firestorm and Storm Strike. Interesting. 5, 4, and then an additional 2 hero points. Firestorm must have the Undying Friend skill first. The Phoenix creates a Firestorm dealing 190, 290, and then 420 true damage in a large area, burning enemies dealing 65, 85, and then 105 true damage in 5 seconds. Note, the ultimate is available when the Undying Friend upgrade is bought. If you don't have it bought, you will have only Storm Strike. Speaking of Storm Strike, here's the description. Storm Strike. War Champion strikes with all of his might, creating a storm, dealing 415, 695, 815 damage in a small area, stunning all the enemies in radius for 5 seconds. Both have 70-second cooldown. Note, these two abilities can be switched. The hero spell will have 2 options, one on top and one below. You can choose which one you want. Very, very unique. That's all I have to say. Very unique, man. Now, I know that Lilith has technically 2 abilities, but, she's RNGesus, so you never know with her. You never know if you're gonna get, like, the angels or the meteors. She'll be like, just pick that, pick that, pick that. Here, it's completely your choice. You can pick based on the situation. And it's pretty interesting. You have that nice area true damage ability that can do up to 525 true damage if the enemies end up taking all that damage over time completely. Which, chances are they're probably not, considering that a lot of towers in Origins have the capability to deal true damage, so yeah, it's probably not going to be used to its full efficiency very often, unless you do it like very early on a big horde of enemies before they approach your choke point. And then you have the Storm Strike, which could be very useful for dealing just high pure physical damage, and the stun is kind of nice. Now, it probably doesn't affect bosses, or if it does, it's probably like half the duration. So that sounds pretty good. Like if you're dealing with like single target tough enemies that are surrounded by low tier enemies, a good example of this will be like Blood Orc with Gnoes or Gnoe Burners. If you use the Storm Strike, you can pretty much annihilate the Horde and do a lot of damage to the Blood Orc and stun him, and that way you can get like 3 attacks for free basically, which is pretty darn nice. I really like this ultimate, it's definitely a unique one. Both of them have their individual usage and their own, specialties. I mean, yeah, both of them are area damage, but one of them is true damage with some damage over time. The other is higher physical damage, and it provides with a stun, so both of them have their own individual uses. That's pretty nice. And now here we go with the last one, the last portion of the paragraph, which is basically the opinion of LightningRuiEn. In my opinion, he's an absolute tank that can deal some damage without taking significant amount of damage, something like Gerald Lightseeker. He can also block attacks, deal damage, has some Phoenix abilities, a pretty good AoE attack, plus the ulti can be switched to suit the different situations. Well, that's very good, yeah. The ultimate is very unique, per se. That's awesome. I'm not quite sure if he's like quite like Gerald. I mean, yeah, I can see the similarities of the tankiness and the fact that he can withstand a lot of damage, but I would say he's definitely better than Gerald. Mostly because of how many ways he has to heal himself, and the fact that he has a very fast movement speed. And now let's get into the hero quotes. Now, I can impersonate War Champion. I'm really bad at it. So I'm gonna read the quotes in my normal voice. Get them out of the building. Don't fear, I can slay any beast. They wish that they could stand a chance. Out of my sight. How unwise of thee. And then the dead quote. They will be out of the building. I promise. Pretty interesting quotes. And yeah, I mean, they're okay. Let's just say that. They are okay. And now, last but not least, we have this little portion. The reason I made this was because I want to show War Champion how much I appreciate him and love his content. Me, LightningRuiEn. Well, that was a nice little message at the end. Well, I hope that War Champion, if you're watching this, you definitely have some big fans over there. He literally made you into a hero, a pretty good one in my opinion. Like, he's definitely a very good hero for single target damage. If you're having a tough enemy, send War Champion in, and he's gonna stow him to death and annihilate him. He's kind of like a good version of Jigo in a way, where he's very hard to kill, and he can block enemies, but the issue with Jigo was the fact that he dealt very low damage, and he had this atrocious attack rate and movement speed. This guy is Jigo, but much better, having an incredible movement speed, blocking power. Now, I'm not quite sure if he can block, actually, because if he gets the Phoenix, like, maybe he stays on the ground, and when he has to move to a far distance, he jumps on the Phoenix, and maybe the Phoenix just hovers over him. I'm not quite sure if he turns into like a flank hero, because if he does, I'm not quite sure how he'll be able to attack enemies with a sword, to be honest. But yeah, these are questions that I can't possibly answer. That's something that LightningRuiEn should have explained, but he didn't. So I guess we're going with a little bit of imagination, I guess. But for the most part, the hero is great. I really like him, and I'll give him a solid 9.5 out of 10. Very good, strong, pretty decent in most situations. Besides the questionable cooldown on the Ultra Smash, none of the abilities seems bad or too unbalanced. Like, sure, maybe the Scepter's healing could be a little bit overpowerful in some situations, but for the most part, I would say it's balanced due to the high cooldown, so it makes sense. The shield absorption is very nice if you're dealing with a tough enemy or even bosses. And then you also have the Undying Friend, which is a nice little help. In case of War Champion dies, you're still gonna do something. And then the Ultra Smash, I suppose it could be handy, but because of this very long cooldown, I don't think it's gonna be very useful. Like, sure, it's still gonna be handy from time to time, but because of its long cooldown, you're probably not gonna see this ability in action very often. By far, what got my attention the most is the ultimate, though. Having multiple ultimates is a very unique idea, and none of the heroes in Kingdom Rush have this, so that is muy bien. Get it? Because War Champion says muy bien. Anyway, well, that's all I have to say about the War Champion. Very good hero design, LightningRuiEn. You definitely did a good job on that one. And yeah, guys, well, with that out of the way, that's gonna do it for the video. Thank you everybody so much for watching. I appreciate you for sticking around to the end. Subscribe if you want to see more of this content in the future. And while you're at it, drop a like on the video. It means a lot to me. And by the way, if you want to send me your hero ideas or hero designs or reworks for that matter, just hit me up on Discord. I'm active for the most part, so I'll make sure to check it out and make a video on it at one point or another. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Until it comes, that was King Rexy, over and out.